Various bits of unusual attire today. I'm in my shorts. If you're watching this on the YouTube, you won't be aware that we're doing a baptism shortly. That's why I'm in my shorts. The rest of my peculiar attire all has an explanation. Jesus' view of the way the world works and our view of the way the world works are not the same. And the question we are all called to ask ourselves, wherever we stand with Jesus, is who do we trust? I love Jesus. I mean, obviously, I love Jesus. I'm the vicar. It's my job. But you know that thing where, I love that person, and they do the thing that's really them? This is Jesus really doing a Jesus. Somebody comes to him with a question, and, will you help me out with this argument about stuff? And Jesus is just not interested in this guy's question. He has his own agenda. People come to him with one set of things, and he just flips it around. He seems often to be more interested in helping us ask better questions than in answering the ones that we thought we needed answering. Help me do this thing. No, you're doing the wrong thing. Always makes me think about prayer. We come to God and we say, I want this. And sometimes Jesus says, you're really not asking the right question. There's a whole series of sermons there. Today, though, we're looking at what the world thinks makes sense and what Jesus thinks makes sense. He tells this story about this man with suddenly a massive crop. He's done very well. He builds bigger barns and he dies, which, you can't take it with you. And we're familiar with these stories in church. We hear them again and again. Yeah, we know the parable. Silly man with his barns. That's the lesson. But I think the first time, if somebody just told you this story and it wasn't in the Bible, if we said, there's a chap in Calverley, there's a farmer down the road, he had a really good crop this year, so he's knocked his barn down to build a bigger barn, you would not think that guy was an idiot. Think, oh no, that seems like a perfectly sensible farming solution and use of capital to the issue he's got. I think that would be what the world said. There wouldn't be bits in the Express or the Yorkshire Evening Post going, idiot farmer builds bigger barns. The world's perspective is that, you've got more stuff. Yeah, look after your stuff. But actually, that's the way the world works. And I think that's part of why the world doesn't work very well. And the world doesn't work very well. I love the world. We start with what are we thankful for? And the world is filled with joy and love and connection. But it is broken. It needs, an article I read this week, the world needs a heart transplant, and so do we. The way the world works actually doesn't work very well. That's part of why we're still having intercessions all the time for war and oppression and things like that. If we all, when we are blessed, go, brilliant, I'm winning, bigger barns, keep my stuff, well, then nobody else gets the stuff. You can't do it. It doesn't work. I mean, you can put your money in the bank and it will just exist as things typed on a screen at the moment. I don't know where that money actually goes. Someone should explain that to me. But if you've been blessed with grain, you can't keep it for that long, can you? It doesn't last forever. It's got to be used. It's got to be planted. It's got to be turned into flour and bread that we can eat. If we all just hoard our stuff, then some of us end up with the guy's not eating any more bread than the rest of us. He's just got stuff. And then other people don't have stuff, and there's inequality. And all the research shows, if you're in a country where there's inequality, where there's lots of people with barns and lots of people without barns, then there's resentment and injustice, and rich people in those countries have a much worse time of it. The more we get closer to sharing things out, saying, I've been blessed, let me bless you. This came to me. Let me share that with you. The more countries do that, the more things are more evenly distributed, the happier we are, the longer we live. Economics tells us that. Keeping your stuff is not good for you. It's not good for us. It leads to division and not peace. And we have always been called, as human beings, from the start, from Abraham, when God says, I'm going to bless you, that you be a blessing. We are called to be workers for shalom. Shalom is that wonderful Hebrew word for justice that it doesn't mean we're not fighting. It means that there is connection between us, that it works. We're called to believe in abundance, that I can share my stuff and there will be more, that there'll be plenty to go around, that I can give a bit more to church if I'm all honest. More sermons will be coming your way on that. It costs us about £400 a day to run this church. We are not receiving £400 a day at the moment. And if we all keep our stuff, we can keep our stuff in our lovely barns and watch the church close. We're not close to that. But there are churches that are like that. There's something about us all saying, I trust that there will be enough. You've got to be sensible with it. I'm not saying everybody should knock their barns down. But there's a call here, isn't there, about believing, I've got enough. When I have extra, let me share it. Let me be a blessing. Later, we're going to sing those famous words of Jesus set to the catchy tune. Jesus told us, you are a light, right? You're a light in the darkness, a city on a hill. And it's a lovely little song, but it is true. If you are part of the kingdom, if Jesus is alive and working in you, then you are part of that call to the world to trust his way and not the world's way, to be a light in the darkness. I think that is real. We are called to speak of justice, of shalom, of joy, of community. And that's when it all starts to make sense. When we pay it forward and spread it around, we are all richer in every way that actually counts. So far, so nice, so predictable. The vicar says, try and be kind to people, and can we have more of your money for church? Standard sermon, right? Try and be nice, pay up. 2 points, because it's bigger than that. This involves a real change of heart. The world's instincts are what is right in the papers that don't say, stupid farmer with his big barns. It is hard work to suddenly believe that there is going to be enough, that I can pay it forward, that when I share it, we are together, that we love everyone else as much as we love ourselves, and therefore we want to do that. To develop those instincts takes hard work. It takes a change of heart. It takes faith. That sort of attitude shift is hard, and you can help. You can help that attitude shift by doing the stuff. If you behave like there's enough, if you behave like you've got faith, if you behave like you love other people, the love grows. It does work, but it's a prayerful thing. You don't have to do that by yourself, because it's a long slog. But prayerfully, the Spirit is at work. God, who started a good work in you, will complete it, we are told. Prayerfully, when we say daily, weekly, Lord, your will be done, we're saying, I want to join in with you, Lord. It's part of our call to holiness, to be set apart, to be different. And I think the second thing is not just that the Holy Spirit is doing this in us and it's a good work, but actually this is part of submitting. It's not a very popular word, submitting, is it? But that is what we're called to do. That's what it is to be a disciple. We've got 3 people here about to make some big promises, and some godparents as well. We're going to talk about submitting, and I'm going to invite you to join in with those promises and say, actually, I submit. And there's an image, we get it from Revelation, say the saints in heaven at the end of days, what they're doing is they're taking off their crowns. We're casting our crowns before Jesus. We're saying, I don't get to be the boss of my life, which is not an easy thing to do, but the Bible tells us actually when you do this, you say, actually, your ways are better than mine, Lord. If I do it my way, we end up with big barns and empty hearts, and it isn't good. I like taking off my crown. I keep putting it back on. I have this habit. It's like there's a ready supply of crowns in my pocket. I don't know about you. It's good for me to come back to church and be reminded and confess and say, I put my crown on again. This is how we get better at paying it forward, remembering that there are ways and prayers, but also it's about taking off our crowns. And it's trusting that that is the better way to be. There's something about church as well, because John probably doesn't put his crown back on the same day I put mine back on. So there'll be days when I see John or Katie or Megan or Zach or anyone else being generous and remembering, and it reminds me and it inspires me. And I go, sorry, take it off. When we live with each other, when we know each other's hearts, when we catch each other, paying it forward, being blessed and blessing others, we inspire each other. And it's a virtuous circle. You, Lord, are the way. I come to you, I submit to you. Those are the vows you made if you've been baptized or confirmed. Those are the vows you're going to make today. Those are the vows I invite each of you at the end of the service to join with us again. The good news, and there's always good news. His burden is light, his yoke is easy, and in his way there is truth and there is life in all its fullness. Amen. Amen.